welcome you to this network and we welcome you to this call. We're thankful to have your energy. We're thankful to have you with us, sharing and participating in the topic of personal development and our 90-day goal setting challenge. It's just more than a blessing to be able to have networks like this, to be able to uh, really separate all the things that's been going on in your life, the good, the bad, the ugly, the progressive, all the things that you've been working on that you, whether it be just your necessities, whether it be just your day to day taking care of the house, family, whether it be your business, whether it be your job, your community work, your family, whatever it is that you keeps you occupied. We're thankful today to pause all of that, really for the purpose of going inward and connecting. When we think about our network with the Dreammakers Network and focusing this call on personal development, it gives us a chance to reflect on what we did this past month and plan and prepare for what we're doing going forward. And I'm always just thankful to have these opportunities to connect with folks in a like-minded approach, a singular objective of personal development, and see what happens, and just allow that kind of organized effort to do something and go into it with a certain level of expectation. And I think that's what we've kind of, we talk about these concepts very casually now, particularly for this call. But just know that when you're having a conversation like this with folks outside the network, 9 out of 10 times, this could be fresh, brand new information for them. And it's important for us to always stay ready, to stay ready to share, ready to connect, particularly as it relates to creating purpose-driven masterminds. Being in a position where you can say, I need to get something done, and I want it to be done at its maximum capacity, and beginning the process of connecting like-minded people, people who can truly not only add value to what you're working on, but who maybe they come with a certain level of energy and intentionality that you need for this effort, or maybe just a couple of words of you sharing with them the value and the concept, if you will, of a mastermind and how that works and why it not only will be beneficial for the effort, that collective effort that you guys are working on together, but how it could be beneficial to them in their life going forward. And that is a great big part of what we're trying to do, is address the day-to-day process of how do we approach life? How do we approach the various issues and challenges that will come our way? But how do we do it in a way that is keeps you on message, keeps you focused, keeps you with a plan, allows you to continue to see what the next step is, and you're doing all of that with energy and excitement. And I don't want to just kind of mask over that. It is beyond a blessing to carry that with you as you go through this life, and especially when the challenges come. And more importantly, I believe, and at least from my perspective, when those challenges come, or when successes come, and we don't want to just live in a world of one-off success, but we begin to create a lifestyle that just walks in success. When people go through those experiences and they may not be prepared for either of the two, that we can begin the process of connecting, sharing, investing in folks' lives, in a way that could change their mindset, that could create new behaviors. And I always think it's worth doing that because the process of teaching, of educating, of investing in someone's life is not only a blessing to that person, but the fact that you're doing it, the fact that you are even attempting to lift someone else's situation, it lifts you and it gives you the kind of energy that you'll need after that conversation, after that interaction. You go on with your day to day, that positive impact continues with you throughout the rest of your day and going forward. And so I want to just make sure that when we put this whole network into context, why it's important, the work of personal development, why that's important, the work of building a network and an ecosystem, why that's important, the work of investment and sharing and intentional investing in other people's lives, why that's important. It's important to me, I believe, to outline the things that has happened within this network and what we're trying to do and what we've been doing. And especially, and for those who are on the call for the first time, why we even double down on that work during the summertime with our 90-day goal setting challenge. And so we just want to use these opportunities of intentional growth, of purpose-driven activity, of masterminding, of personal development. We want to use it with complete focus, on purpose, finding ways every day to interrupt somebody's situation with this level of focus and activity. And so, and again, like I say, when you do these things, it's not only adding value to their life, and they don't know what you're getting ready to hit them with. So all they know is that, I met this sister, or I have a good friend who's doing something, she shared something with me. He invested into my life. But you're going into it with, I want to sow a seed in that person's life, and knowing, and just kind of time by time, over time, connect, water that seed, share a book, share an insight, invite them to a call, just different things that you can do to invest in somebody, reinvest in that seed that you laid with them, and just see what happens. And what's so interesting about that is a lot of times we get a little too emotional with it. Sometimes if folks don't show up to every call, or you told them to do something and they may did it once, but they didn't come back and do it again. We can't control the actions of people. All we can control is what we do and the investment that we make and why we do it and that intentionality. And that's it. And from that respect, we know we're investing with the good spirit, on purpose, and we're going to try to do it as often as we can. But we can't allow. A lot of times, you hear folks, "Yeah, I invited them, and they didn't come, and I'm done with them." It's like, well, that's one way to look at it. That's one way to look at it. But at the end of the day, what did you sharing with them do to you? How did it affect you? How did you feel after investing? What and understand. And that's really what this is about. And so I'm just thankful to have this time with you guys, just in a collective way. I know I connect with you guys individually throughout the month, but this call is important. It's special. And even, after it goes out, people listen to it or watch after the live recording, and we'll reach out with whatever's going on. And it's it's always of value to beef up the network. And that's really, I would say, where uh, my time and energy has really, especially for this 90-day goal setting challenge, has begun to focus on. Um, and for that point, definitely go to www.dreammakersnetwork.org, www.dreammakersnetwork.org, to connect with us and begin the process of learning more about our history, the work we've done, what we're doing, and how we can be supportive in your goals, objectives, things that's been on the back of your mind that you want to execute. I mean, that's really, just the whole purpose of trying to uh, lead people to impact, lead people to action. And if we can be supportive in that in any way, hit us up. Dreammakersnetwork.org. Well, thank you for joining us. And we are more than excited to hear from you on today's call. Well, again, I wanted to just again say we've completed a full month of the 90-day goal setting challenge. We're past our first 30 days. I'm more than eager and excited to hear from you guys as to how did your first 30 days go? What did you put your energy on? What did you focus on? What's your new, definite chief aim? What's your new focus? How has it been? Let's highlight the experiences, successes, challenges, things you're working through. These are the dramas and the details, right? I just think that it's so, anytime somebody was in the thick of something and they're going into it and they're doing it on purpose, and just being able to measure the day-to-day goals, what's happened, what went wrong, what went right. I'm very, very, very eager to hear where you are and what's next and what are your plans for the month of July. I can say even on a personal level that this has been a month of intentionality, of day-to-day pushing the envelope. What else can we do? Bringing clarity to the goals. It's almost like, you hear about some people who love tinkering, if you will, breaking something down and building it back up just for the sport of it. Folks who end up, who are engineers or engineers in their own right, if you will. This is something that I think it's important for us to do, to take on that mindset, that spirit of tinkering or that spirit of engineering, something that we want to see created. And what does it take? You get one stick and you bring the other stick and plug it into that and, and just see what happens. Can you turn the engine? Do we need a website? Do we need an LLC? Do we need a meeting to schedule? Do we need, whatever the case, you need an introduction. We want to be in the spirit of action relative to our goals, and particularly in this season of 90-day goal setting and being very intentional about the work that you're doing, that we can, you're not in this alone. If there's nothing else you hear from this call, the number one thing I want you to know is that you're not in this alone. All it takes is a phone call, a text, schedule a meeting, whatever the case may be, because we want to get you into the process of moving what you truly want to see created into life, whatever that is. And this is that time. If there was ever a time to go inward and say, I got to focus on me right now, this is it. This is your time. This is that moment. This is the time of no excuses. Yeah, but I hear you, Dees, but I still got to get that done. Got it. Okay. You're not ready. And it's okay to say, I'm not ready yet. If that's where you are, but I want to highlight the fact that when you are ready, that's your time. So You can't let something else, can't let the enemy sneak in and say, oh, I know you just got started with that, but you need to be focused on this. So maybe you can push that little thing to the side and we'll come back to that. That when the light bulb turns on and you are ready to commit and focus to your goal, to your objective, it's time, it becomes the new priority. And what we're just carving out is the summer. We're carving out 90 days. Now, I know realistically, and let me just, I don't want to say that. Actually, let's look at it like this. There are some people who, when they say I'm focusing on something, it takes sole priority. So 100% of their time is now all in on that sole objective. So that's that person. And I want to be clear on this because a lot of times we have our networks, right? We have our accountability partners. And you may look to your left or look to your right, and that person is so white hot focused on accomplishing their goal, and you're checking yourself. You're like, yo, I'm not at that level. it's like, and sometimes, unfortunately, when your subconscious gets involved, because the thing is, let's just really break down what you're doing. When you make a decision to focus on something that's not a part of your norm, it wakes up your subconscious to say, yo, this is not what we do. This is what we know. This is our zone. Our zone is over here. And you're saying, no, this is what I'm doing right now. Get with the program. That back and forth is challenging. Let's just be clear about that. That is a challenging exercise. I'm going to use that word. That is a challenging exercise to go through between your conscious and subconscious. And you just have to know that that's what's happening. And so some of that pullback, some of that, let's get back to the comfort zone side. That's just what happens when you begin to focus on something different. So you have to go back to your why. Why am I doing this? Why is this important? And I want to make sure that we're at least keeping these kind of thoughts at the forefront of the objective, outlined in your notes somewhere. Because when those issues happen, you can say, you know what, this is actually part of the process. This pain that I'm feeling, this back and forth, this second guessing, all of that is just part of the process. I shouldn't allow it to throw me off game. So I want to pull back and I want to highlight that, because again, we're in just finishing our first 30 days. This could be somebody's reality, right? So, if that is the case, that's not a reason to say, man, I just stopped. I stopped altogether, Deets, because, I just got pulled out the game. Listen, everybody goes through that. So just want to be clear that you're not on an island by yourself of self-pity. This is just a part of that process. But I really do want to take a second and just open up the call, hear from you guys about the month of June. What happened? What's been going on? Have you, number one, identified what you're focusing on for this 90-day challenge? Number one. Number two, have you started that process? And if you have, what has been your experience? What's happened? Good, bad, ugly? Where are you right now as we've completed 1 month and into a new month? Let's take a second and open up the call now to anybody who's willing to share. We'll open up the call now.
Hey, Dee, it's Ty.
Morning.
So this month has been amazing, actually. my number one has been recreating the boundaries and rewriting. I'm working on rewriting my business plan to include working on a docu-series. And I'm still in a docu-series to focus on Black and disabled. But, well, you know, I'm a special ed teacher. Most people have no idea what I really do. But my background has been special education. I've been a teacher educator in the K-12. And I'm so pissed off and annoyed with education and have been for some time. And right now I've been working as a consultant with Department of Human Services for the last 2 years, which has been amazing. And they have the same system issues, but I feel like I'm less invested in the process, but I'm looking at the bigger picture. I don't know. I'm making it make sense in my head. But ultimately right now I'm working a lot less hours and I'm getting paid a whole lot more money, which I love. But it's allowed me to clear my brain with my family stuff that was going on, and now being able to dig in with creativity. When I moved back to Pittsburgh, one of the things I said I wanted to do was to really tap into my creative world. And I've been doing that in small spurts over the last few years, being called in to do some work with a production company mostly, and love that and enjoy it. And I just one day just sat down and got to praying, like, okay, what else? How do I bring all the things in my world kind of together? What I came up with was a docu-series to tell the stories of families with children with disabilities, and also recognizing some of those families themselves, the parents also too may have disabilities. So looking at the access points, what's currently happening in our community, and what are the needs, and then what are the experiences of these people, first starting in Pittsburgh, and then moving to other places that I know have people that can tell that story, but which is everywhere. But more so the places I'm choosing are places that have organizations that are actually doing really great work with children with disabilities, that are the organization itself are Black centered or run by Black people, or taking that cultural lens as a part of their model to really make sure they're doing the work as it pertains to providing accessibility for families and children. So I'm just really excited to, like, again, take all the things I've ever worked on, which is like a whole lot of crap, and bring it into one thing. So right now, because I'm rewriting my business plan, and I'm in grant finding mode, I'm in money finding mode, fundraising, all of those things. One of the other things, I'm also connected with a colleague, and she's an academic. So I've written my stuff very academically because that's, again, a part of my world. And so I'm like, I don't want to do that. So I'm having her really work on that, and we're looking at, like, what's that process like for the academic side of the thing. So we're looking at surveys and community assessments and being able to do that work as well, in addition to the actual documentary. So it's multi-layered, and I'm super excited about it because, again, it brings everything kind of under one umbrella, and then I can stop doing the small things that will just put all my energy towards something larger.
Yeah, I got a question for you, and this is when you look at what you're building. Do you have, say, maybe 2 or 3 ideal models of, like, they're doing it great from a programmatic perspective, or they're doing it really great from a business operations perspective? I'd love to create a hybrid or something that is a blend of that, peppered with your own specialty, if you will. So are there models that you're using as a guide, or of how to piece together, kind of, you're going back to that engineering or your tinkering development phase that you're using to guide you through this process?
Well, for me, as far as the program is concerned, they're not so much that, but they're looking at here are some problems that this group of people sought to solve, and this is how they're doing it. So, like, in DC, we helped build a school that has the way they do all their plans with the children with the biggest needs in mind first. And so, they could do their philosophies and why and how they do what they do, and then how that meets the needs of array of students because of how they plan and process, and how they bring teachers in as far as even flexible scheduling for they're professionals. And so here are ideas that are actually have been done and worked, and this is what it looks like when you try it this way. Over here, I have somebody in Baltimore that's looking at art, that's looking at entrepreneurship and supporting children who are neurodiverse. And this is how they put their ideas to paper, and this is what their program has been able to produce. And so I'm not trying to change anybody's plan and process, but I want to explore what those organizations and how they've been built and why they've been built, and ultimately by highlighting those organizations in a big space to push our grant makers and universities to allow the people who are closest to the problem create the solutions. And you all just fund them and help us look at ways of expanding and look at ways of making those programs better. Because those people shouldn't be running around looking for money. They should be doing the work. And so how do we make sure that those organizations, that the people who have the money are funding those projects so they can focus on what they're good at? And we can also look at how do we take those models and those funds and those founders to duplicate, replicate, and expand those programs that are working for the children they were designed to work for. So we start reallocating funds, because what's happening in the schools is not getting it for most of the children that need it the most.
Got it. And then I guess my last question on this, and it's more so around, the grant process and funding process. What are your needs in terms of even beginning that? Do you have someone or are you doing a lot of the grant writing to address those funds, or do you need to bring somebody in to do that?
Right now I am, but I've actually been in some conversations and have some conferences scheduled with some people who are actually grant writers, because I've done like small things, but I haven't done. I want $1 million. So my grants I've written for the garden, it ain't that. It ain't that at all. So I do want to be working with some people around some grant stuff. I submitted to here locally, and I haven't heard back yet. So we'll see what's going on with that. I want to start with the proof of concept, and the proof of concept is essentially a trailer for the docu-series itself, and then also putting together some of the surveys and the protocols for the surveys, interviews, and focus groups that will essentially be recorded to start creating a data that direction.
Got it. Yeah, that's, it's interesting. Yeah, keep us plugged in on that, because there's a lot of, in some form or fashion, especially when it comes to introductions on both sides, when it comes to on the grant side and where funding is going. And I think I shared with you before, it's an organization in Baltimore County in Towson called Abilities Network. And part of Abilities Network platform is, well, in some cases, it's similar to, oh man, what's the name of it? Can't think of the other organization, but basically organizations that provide jobs for folks with special needs. But it goes a little beyond that. It's the old Epilepsy Foundation, but they've kind of expanded the work to not only provide jobs, but then other kind of wraparound services and housing, depending in all different types of things. And so, I've served on the board for the organization for the past 6 years, and the funding part of that gets very creative, and so. As creative is a good word to use, but it definitely gets to, it's coming from so many different sources, from government to nonprofit to private. And it's always interesting to see who those private investors are into causes that are nonprofit in nature, and how they support, how they factor in funding similar to it's actually very similar to the private investors are investing in passion nonprofit efforts the same way they invest in venture capital efforts, using those dollars to invest in for-profit businesses. And but unfortunately, it's difficult. I shouldn't say difficult, but a lot of people don't know how to tap into the private funding sources. They may have identified from the state, from the county, other municipalities, or even other nonprofits who are supporting those efforts. But that private pool is there, it's available. I remember in a previous life, I used to actually, I would show up at random galas. I shouldn't say random, but galas that are, that may have been in my target market for whatever reason, but pay attention to who's cutting the big checks, like during the silent auction, and who are the people is there a running theme, really getting granular as to who's really funding this operation and what percentage of that funding is coming from private donors, and why, who are they, and why does this matter to them so much? And I think that when we're looking at revenue streams, it's always great to kind of have at least 3 strong, viable revenue streams coming in, and private has to be a part. Now, the thing is, private, it's above the friends or family round, right? It's like that intentional folks who have the resources aspect of it. And a lot of times, just as investors invest in businesses, what they're really investing in is the vision of the leader. So if they believe in you, they see you, they hear your story, they understand why it's impacting you this way, that's what they're investing in. And many, unless they've been through something, like I remember one of my old clients was Hospice of the Chesapeake. And so it's a hospice organization, and it's a nonprofit hospice. So a lot of those private donors are folks who've been affected by that. They've had family members who had to go through hospice, and they value the care that they received during that time. So just pulling back, the leaves on that to see who are these folks and why would they. In matter of fact, if they knew about my organization, they would invest. They just don't know yet. So how do I get in front of those folks? And usually, I guess in my experiences, you show up at a random, I shouldn't say random, I'll say that word again. If you show up at a big fundraising event, a gala or something like that, that is kind of in the realm of what you're doing, and find out who those folks are, who are the people on the boards, and that kind of stuff. The ones who are really cutting checks, they should know who you are. They should know why what you're building they should be supporting it too, and it definitely at the end of the day opens up, or I should say expands your network with the type of people who already are somewhat invested in that industry, if you will. So but yeah, let's definitely stay connected on this, especially as you're going through, if you set a goal within this summer to meet certain goals, we can tag team it as much as we can.
Okay, that sounds good. Yep. Thank you.
All right, let's open it up. Anybody else willing? I use the word willing to share their June, what's been going on in June, what you're working on. How's it impacted you? Where are you in the process? Are you excited? Are you meh? Let's talk it through. We'll take a second to open up the call now. And the same for our folks who are online. Feel free to drop it in the comments section. Feel free to share on the comment section or dial in. Feel free to dial in as well as we begin to unpack our June within this 90-day goal setting challenge. Looking forward to hearing from you. We'll open up the call now. Brother Morris. How you feeling, man?
Feeling good, man. I'm feeling good.
I'm talking about.
July.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's definitely July. It's definitely July.
Hot.
It is definitely July. Yes, it's hot. But beyond that, it's 30 days into the 90-day goal setting challenge. So now I got 60 days to really start my 90-day goal. How about that? I got 60 days. Yeah, I'm saying this for everybody that's on here right now. That's like, what are you talking about, Byron? I've done minimal work.
Oh.
This is not what I want to do. Willing. Am I willing? Yeah. But they say, are you willing? I am willing, but the flesh is weak.
The flesh is weak.
The flesh is weak. The flesh is weak.
Yeah.
With one of my goals, well, a couple of them. The business one is going okay. You know, I'm working it out. I've taken a step to kind of move forward on a few projects. Oh, but they're not the ones that are exciting me. But it's a necessity. You know, making money is a necessity. Hitting these numbers is a necessity.
Yeah.
But I'm just moving the car. I might have can you still hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Connected?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. You know how the Bluetooth kicks on. But now with the one that I've really been, coming with as far as my 90-day official challenge is the whole, getting back onto working out, being in shape. And for me, I'm out of shape now. So I have put in a little bit of road work. By a little bit, I mean, a couple days. So if we're doing the night a 30-day,
Yeah.
in 30 days, it has not been a large percentage of activity, and that is not good. But what I will say is that it's all of the I've been watching all of the excuses. I've been accepting all of the excuses that have been coming to me.
Okay.
I've accepted all of the excuses, and I can say it to y'all, on my mastermind call when I'm amongst friends, colleagues, and motivators that I've just been accepting them. All of my mental, I've been accepting the excuses, and I'm just saying this to myself out loud. And we're on a call, so hopefully it helps other people. But like all of them. And I tell you, here's the funniest thing. As I was listening to Ty talk, that's the thing I like about the call. There's so many important things happening, right? And people are doing important things. And I have, people, and Ty, I asked Ty about this. A good friend of mine who was murdered has a son that was, on the spectrum. And I think a while ago I asked her about it, and she gave me some ideas, and I passed them along to his mother, and and it was effective. And people are doing such important work, right? So it puts like my ability to work out in perspective as far as like where I would rank societal importance, right? So like me being in good shape doesn't rank high in the importance of the society in my mind. But it's so important to me personally. It's not like, what I'm saying? It's just so important to me personally. It's something that I have to have in line, and I haven't been able to capture that feeling that gets over that hump that makes it more important than anything. But here's the funny part: my mother has been working out, and guess who's been taking her to the gym? I've been dropping her off. Like, she is a trainer, and she's been talk about jazz. So I'm picking up my, soon to be 80-year-old mother. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm talking to Ron, whatever his name is, whatever this trainer's name is. And I'm like hating, like internally hating, not on her, but on like the activity of what's happening. And like, so she's telling me what he goes, he got you doing that? Okay, that's for the arms. All right. Like, I go to the pool on Tuesday. So I need you to come get me at 8 o'clock. And and then he had me doing this, and he was saying this, and he's been doing that. And in my spirit, I support her. But it's like, obviously, the jazz for yourself. And I said that to say, one, to tell that story, which is hilarious. Two is I'm saying that, as it's going down, I'm recognizing, all right, these are gentle hints from God to be like, come on, man, hey, come on now.
That's right.
Your mother's in here, sir. Let's just get this. Let's get back on track, and let's get this knocked out so that you can open this mental space where you're unhappy with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Not only because of not looking the way you want to look, but also unhappy with yourself because you know what to do to get yourself in a position to look the way you want to look and feel the way you want to look, and you're not overcoming the challenges to do it, like to do it consistently. So that piece right there. And we went to the beach.
Mm-hmm.
We had the vacation not the vacation, but the annual trip to the ocean. What's going on, man? The annual trip to the ocean came. They scheduled it earlier. I don't know. I'm not on the planning committee. I just kind of show up. So for whatever reason, we did it. We normally do it in August. So we did it last month. And so there's another example. At beach, I know you're a Florida guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you're used to, moving around, shirtless, with your toes out. You know what I'm saying? Just that's what you do. But being a Baltimore guy, removing your shirt and walking around is like a big thing. You either are about that life on the streets.
Yeah.
You one dude on the street with no shirt on, just, hey man, what's up, man? You that guy, or you're at the beach. And being the second guy at the beach and being exposing myself to how I really look was not an exciting time either.
Yeah.
So,
man.
So, all of those things are facts. All of those things have been, the gentle nudges from God to get me back in line. And I can articulate it with y'all on this call because that's what it is. And that's how I've been doing. So I have been doing a little bit of work. Like I said, I've done activities, but like talking about that consistent run. So that's kind of where we are. And as I'm talking it out now, we'll get there. And it's important that it occurs. And that's the thing that's measurable. And it makes it easy to measure. It's like money. These two things are very easy to measure. You either have it or you don't. You either worked out or you didn't.
Yeah.
And I'm on the did not side of this, right now.
Yeah.
So we're getting it together. We are getting it together, yeah.
So that's actually part of the question I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you about that because I'm clearly in a much, probably more than likely in a much worse situation than you. But I do have I do have a measuring stick that I follow that lets me know if I'm on or off, and so it's kind of layered, right? Because the first step is, am I at least doing what I was doing before the 90-day goal setting challenge? So before, my goal was I need to at least do, I need to get 6,000 steps in before my day starts at least 4 times a week. So that's step one. Am I at least doing that? Because that was the goal, starting from our workout group with Dwayne, right? So am I doing that? Number two, when focusing on the summer game, am I doing it, either 5 days a week, or am I hitting 10,000? Am I up to 10,000? Have I added some strength into that, or is it just, steps? Like, am I hitting any of these numbers? And, and I can check myself. And if I hadn't hit any of them, man, I'm moping. I'm licking my wounds at the end of the week. I'm like, and I didn't even share anything with Dwayne. You know what I'm saying? So,
exactly, with
Dwayne. like posting, like, this is for Dwayne, man. Like, I gotta send this to Dwayne.
Oh man,
that's what it is.
Okay, so that's one method. Will you free whatever? If that's a question.
That's a question. Do you have what's your measuring stick?
Oh, my measuring stick is more in for me it's in activity. Meaning that because I was doing nothing previous to the start, no extra activity. It's not much. I mean, it's kind of not a cheat code, but like sometimes my life, my daily activities create motion. Meaning that if we're down, we got events, 3 to 4 times a week. We're like that. We're bare bones. We're still trying to get this thing right. So like, if there's a reset, it's me and 2 other staff members that are, sat in the chairs. It's a lot of walking around back and forth. So like I'm not motionless, meaning that I don't have a sedentary lifestyle.
Yeah.
Where, I know some of us we get up, we go right to the computer, and we just are on the computer, and then from the computer, we go to the dinner table, and then from the dinner table, we go to bed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't have that kind of lifestyle. So I am moving, but my measuring stick is our actual activity outside of that.
Okay.
Meaning that I'm either, I'm working up early in the morning for a run, or I'm entering the gym, or I'm doing, my calisthenics in the house. And if I'm doing that, I know I'm in. That's the measuring stick. How many times I've done that in a week, which is supposed to be a minimum of 5, of that mix. Meaning that, once we're going to the gym, a couple times a week, 2 or 3 runs, on the off days. And then when I can't get into the gym and I can't run, then, I run my calisthenics routine, which is simple. None of this stuff is difficult, which is another thing that hurts about not doing it.
I knew you were going to say that.
It is so simple. It's simple. It's simple to do.
Yeah.
It's simple. There's no, I'm not on my rocket science game. Like, I don't need, not me personally. I don't need all of this stuff and all that.
Have you seen Brother Johnson's workouts?
You know what I'm saying? Say it again.
Have you seen Brother Johnson?
Oh, there's another one. I've seen Brother Johnson. He's getting smaller. That's what I'm saying. There's another one like, okay. Oh, your mom's working out. You know what I'm saying? All of the 300 pounders around me are steady working out. And you, sir, are just, you know what I'm saying?
I mean,
chilling. Well, during the 90-day challenge, which is even worse. So, what you asked my measuring stick is, that's my measuring stick is.
Yeah.
There has to be, activity outside of mine. There has to be activity. And those 3 activities are really what it is. And I don't deviate much from that. I guess I could say, going when we went to the beach for 4 or 5 days, whatever, 4 days, then maybe jumping in the pool, not the pool, but jumping in the water and all that would have counted.
Yeah.
So, so things have happened, but that consistency, I know when I'm doing something and when I'm on it, and I'm not on it. I'm far off it.
Yeah.
Up to this point, I have been. Up to this point. So that's what we are with that particular thing.
It's a real thing.
But I do have examples around it.
Yeah. It's a real thing, brother. Listen, especially you touched on the psychological aspect of it, which is very interesting. About just Baltimore guys don't walk around with their shirt off and going to the beach. That's not a normal thing, But it's so interesting. I'm back in my hometown, and some of these folks I haven't seen in 30 years, right? And so when they see you for the first time, I was 100 pounds lighter. It's like, whoa. You know
you're that guy.
Yeah.
I didn't see it from that perspective. You've returned.
Like, oh, Byron? Oh, I didn't even recognize you, man. Like, like, yikes, man. You must be happy. Fat and happy. You must be married or something, because somebody cooking for you, that kind of thing, right? And that's part of it. That is definitely part of the psychological fact that we go through, and so the question is, but even with that, what does that do to you? Does it motivate you? Does it take you out of the game? Does it make you a recluse? You just like, I don't go out kind of thing. What does it do and why? And we begin to unpack all of it. You know what I'm saying? We begin that process, just unpacking it.
About that, because the psychological piece is real. But here's a positive side of it. The few times that I did actually run out, I should have posted it, but I didn't. But it only takes one workout or one effort kind of thing to make you feel like you're back. Like,
yeah.
I come jogging up the steps after a good run, and like all of the psychological torment that I may have been giving myself off and on for however long until I got up to my first run. When I finished it, walking the house like, woo! I tell Jay, hey, I went on a run today.
Mm-hmm.
It was great.
Yeah.
Like, so you can defeat that psychology with just being in the effort of doing it.
Yeah.
Especially with working out, far before you actually get the results that you're looking for. Those endorphins get the pumping. So it's a way to beat that, and it's crazy that knowing that still might say I still haven't done it. But there's a positive side to that. I was just shining light on that, because you can feel good quickly after you do just a little bit of activity, even if you haven't seen any outward results.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's real. I mean, and even to that point, what's so interesting? You remember when Will Smith, he would say, he's like, here's one thing I know, that no one will outrun me on a treadmill. Right? And he basically said, listen, I work out on this treadmill so much that I don't care what kind of Olympian you are, you're not going to outrun me. And that's a combination of him understanding his physical ability and his mindset. So the combination of the two is, you create some things that you kind of just know about yourself. Now, part of it is determination. I mean, you get, when them Kenyan, when them Kenyan Olympic runners, you're like, okay, dude, that dude's about to outrun you, right? But it's that thing that you're saying to yourself that I'm built for this. I can do this. And what's interesting, I think it is definitely important for everybody to have a certain level of confidence in what you can do. It's a difference between, here's what I want to do, but that point where your body is like, hey, yeah, I can do that. Like that I can do. And we have to know what that is. And when we get to know what that is, that level of confidence within our physical ability, then the question is, well, why don't we do it more often? And that's where I am. I'm at the point where I know what my body can do. Now, I haven't pushed it. That's what the 90-day goal challenge, 90-day goal setting challenge should be about. It's all right, push it. You know what you can do, so push it a little bit more. You figure out, is that the limit or is there more? You just hadn't tapped it yet. And that's what that's my point about this summer. Definitely become like when we identify a measuring stick, definitely know what you can do and that you feel good doing, because that should be the point of repetition. You feel good doing it. It's not an issue. You should do this all the time. And if you're not doing it all the time, now you're on the other side of the line in terms of a measuring stick. If you're doing what you feel good doing all the time, okay, cool. You're in the rhythm. Now let's see if you can push yourself and learn more about yourself. Learn something about yourself that you just did not know you could do. That should be the point of this 90-day goal setting challenge. I'm talking to myself right now. So hopefully you guys are listening, but I'm definitely talking to my subconscious, trying to get it on board, right? With this on the physical side, so, but that should be it, and the measuring stick is what keeps us in line. I mean, we just got to know it's there. And because here's the point, if we're on the side of the measuring stick where we're not doing much, and then we've gotten comfortable, like, how do we feel about not doing much? Like, I'm cool with it. It's like, that's the challenge. I'm cool with not doing much. I'm cool with just like whatever. That we just want to figure out where your mindset is, because if you aren't doing much, but your brain, your subconscious is like, man, what are you doing, man? We got to do more. And especially when you're in a situation where your conscious and your subconscious are both saying you need to do more, you still just like chilling, like something is going on. Like we might be even, flirting with depression. If you're still sitting around and every part of you is saying, let's go, then we need to talk, right? So I think that it's important. At least I follow this measuring stick just to see where I am, how I'm gauging, how I'm feeling. And again, but that active piece, staying active and at least challenging myself 1 or 2 days a week should be the goal. Like to really push it. How far can you go? Like, I'm not trying to kill yourself, but just see what else is there. And, that I'm glad you highlighted the physical, the exercise, the body aspect of this mind, body, and soul objective, because the truth is all of us are thinking it. So, it's I was listening yesterday to, especially after watching like the preparations for the Olympics and all of this. Oh, I got to talk about this too, actually. But I was watching Gabby Thomas, the 200-meter winner, and who's going to, and our representation in the Olympics. Gabby Thomas, she was doing an interview earlier this week. And she was and they were asking her questions. How do you feel, getting ready for Paris and hold on. She was just like, I'm just confident in my body. She used that word, that term. I'm confident in my body. And this, just to kind of add to this conversation, and Paz, I know you'll like this. So last week, so most of you, well, if you know my brother Brent, he was a track coach. He was great athlete in high school and college, track and field, and so he had summer camp at the speed camp this last week, and so my godson in Atlanta and his cousin came and were in my brother's speed camp. So, and their dads came, right? So they were here all week last week in speed camp. And it was so interesting because it was a very technical camp. When you look at some of the drills that were happening, it's so interesting. The interesting part is it was going on the same week as the Olympic trials. So they were out there doing acceleration drills. And then after the speed camp was over, we're able to watch Noah Lyles and Sha'Carri Richardson and Gabby Thomas do those same things. When you combine technique, your mental strength, and your physical ability, when those three things come together and you watch it happen. And it was so interesting because to watch that process, like there was a point where in one of those acceleration drills where it was like every 10 meters, you pick up. And what happens if your form is right, you don't even have to think about it anymore, because if your form is right, you automatically are going to reach a certain speed. But most people don't think about it. You just start running, right? It's like you just start running. They're not paying attention to your form. Just get out there and get away from something. So it's worth, I guess I like this whole fact of there's a science project to it all. And actually, even to add to that, one of the dads, he had the whole day mapped out. So he was like, okay, before you run, you're going to eat this. And here's why. Then after you run, you're going to drink this. And then we're going to eat that after you run. And then before the end of the night, this is what you're going to. And it was a complete science project, yo. I mean, I just watched it day after day after day. And I'm like, this is like the laboratory or something. So there, I guess I'll say all that to say there are definitely levels to this thing, but the process is in there, and we just have to incorporate this stuff into what we're trying to accomplish, especially when it comes to strengthening this body game, man. It is so real. So I'm glad you highlighted that, because that is more than likely what everybody on this call is thinking about. How do I keep my body at peak performance, especially if you have these these career and these mental, if you will, these mental goals, these intellectual goals, these community goals, but you just don't feel good. You just don't, your body doesn't feel good. Then, it's just all going to dance around in your mind without much application, because you don't feel physically well enough to go out and do what it is you really want to do. So, Brother Morris, I definitely appreciate you, being honest and willing to share that part of that physical journey, because we all going through it.
60 days, brother, 60 days. I'm back at it. Let's say 60 days.
60 days.
Right? 60 days. Let's go. 60-day goal challenge.
A lot can happen in 60 days, brother. A lot can happen in 60 days.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll see. Yes, sir. Oh, that's it.
All right.
Good morning. Yes. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, good morning.
Hey, good morning. So y'all know I love these 90-day challenges, right? I'm always trying to do something different. So this time, it kind of hits home because it's all about self-care. Because I found myself trying to save the entire world.
Yep.
And I was getting exhausted. Like, I was mentally drained, and I wasn't accomplishing anything. And I had to put a date on it. It goes back to 2018, when I all of a sudden had to be uprooted and leave for actually I ended up leaving for 120 days. But things hadn't been right since. Like, I've just been on this, I don't even know how to explain it.
Yeah. But
mentally I checked out. Like, legit checked out. I tried to do everything I would normally do, regular. I looked the same. I looked the same. I sounded the same, but mentally I was not the same. And nobody could see it. And so I didn't know how to wear a poker face. I know how to smile. I know how to press through. I know how to be a big girl, suck it up, and not cry when things got hard. But this year, somebody asked me a question maybe about 30 days ago, right around the time when we started this thing.
Yep.
And the question almost broke me. Like, I almost let him see me cry before I could answer. And it's like, dang, somebody sees me. I must not be doing a good job at this poker face thing. Because I've been acting out, I've been doing just anything to feel something, you know? Because my problem is I wasn't feeling anything. Like there was no remorse, there's no, I feel so bad about blah, blah, blah. And I would try to dive into other people's and fix other people because I couldn't fix myself. So at least it felt like I was accomplishing something, right?
Yeah.
So, this time, I'm like, you know what? I just want to feel better all the time without medicating all the time. I just want to, like, peel back the layers of what's happening with me and why all of a sudden I changed and I no longer had tolerance for different things that was happening in my life.
Yeah.
You know, I'm watching friends pick their lives. I don't want to be that statistic. I'm watching like people stroking out and doing, you know, just really, really doing bad health-wise.
Yeah.
So I got on this weight loss thing. It's you know, but that wasn't it. It still wasn't it. So I committed to shopping for a therapist because everybody's not for everybody.
Yeah.
Right? So I probably went through about 3 of them at this point, but then I started like really just taking the time to pay attention to everything. Like, okay, why is my back hurting? Why is this? Why is that? And going back to breathing, because the first part of life was breath, right? Airway, and just meditating and just breathing and starting to get some mental clarity. But this is not the end of my journey. It's like the beginning. Like I'm trying to trim the fat in my life. Like anything that doesn't edify me or my well-being or growth, it's like I have to deal with it in time increments and then be done with it. Like I was so caught up into trying to please everybody. And I don't know why. It was just second nature. Just make everybody happy. All my patients happy. Well, it's like $3,000.
Yeah.
And I can't. And so now I'm starting to just say, no, I'm unavailable. And it feels so good. Like it feels so good. So I feel like now I can get things accomplished. I've been living in an apartment for way too long. But I had the means to do other things, but I was mentally blocked.
Yeah.
Like I just was stuck. And even though the business is growing and we're getting more offices, or about to accumulate more offices, I was stuck mentally. And it just was more stuff that I'm responsible for, more stuff. But again, it was me trying to feel something. Like, oh, what is this? What is this? I'm uncomfortable in every way, but I still feel nothing. I feel empty, right? So, long story short, my 90-day challenge is self-discovery. Like, it's one thing to look good, but it's a different thing to feel good.
Yeah.
So, my job is to start feeling good from the inside out. Yeah? And not wear a mask. If I'm not doing good, I'm going to tell you. No, I don't feel it today, not coming, not going to be there, or I can't help you with that. Here's a referral. You know?
Yeah.
But people aren't used to that, Dana. And so it's all about healing. And I was laughing at you when you, well, not laughing at you, but I had a relatable moment when you said, imagine going home and people haven't seen you and you're 100-pound Texan. Well, I've had that experience. But the people in Louisiana don't just look surprised. They say something.
Yeah, they say something. Here too. In Boki too. That's what oh, good Lord, you fat now. It's like, okay. You too.
Girl, what's wrong with you? But now I'm having the opposite problem. And it's like, you sick or something?
You sick or something. That's right. Yeah.
And it's like you came in. And then, you know, it's like I push my body so much that I'm injuring myself now. And it's like, all right, hey, you gotta stop. You can't do CrossFit and be doing push-ups upside down.
No.
Like, that's not you.
Stop it.
But yeah, so it's self-discovery for me. And just mental healing.
Yeah.
Because that's where I want to be. That's where I want to be. So that's my 90 days and beyond.
Well, you know, Dana, you said something that I think is so important, and I want to take a second to try, at least attempt to unpack it, is the way you felt, or I should say the way you feel when you say no. And I think that it's worth stopping there for a second, you know, to highlight why does that make you feel better when you say no? I mean, I guess the easy answer is you got too much going on, and you know it's time for somebody else to do what it is people coming to you for. And you know, if I'm wearing like my, you know, wealth management hat, you know, first thing I'm going to say, yeah, man, it's time to staff this business the right way and get everybody who's asking you questions. They need to ask one of your lieutenants a question, you know, and so you can get into this passive, more passive income, passive wealth generation phase. And that, which I do think is something that it should be a proper next step from a business and wealth management perspective. But I'm interested to get your thoughts on, from your perspective, why do you feel better when you say no?
Because I used to think that it would hurt people's feelings, and you know, when people saw me or interacted with me, people don't remember what you say or do; they remember how you make them feel. And so it's very important to me that people felt good around me, because that's the vibe I'm always on. You know, like when you're in my presence, we're gonna have a good time and blah blah blah. But when I started saying no and saw that they were okay, oh, you're still okay. Good. This was a grow up moment, because now you got to figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
And so now I've caused you to grow because I said no. I've caused you to step your game up a little bit because you're just not ready yet. So I was handicapping people by doing it for them. So it makes me feel better that you're still okay when I say no. And that's really it. And I'm okay because I said no, because now I don't have that pressure on me to do one more thing. And like, even a lot of people are trying to be mentees.
Got it.
And it's like, I can't do it. I hate to be that person, but because, you know, I'm like, oh, this is such an honorable thing, but I got to be well first.
Yeah.
Now, some people I do, but it can't be everybody. Like, we're not on the same wavelength. We're not vibing. We're not even interested in the same thing. And so I think some people were more or less trying to get in with the people that I know, and I think that's where that came from. And so the spirit of discernment. Yeah. So it just feels good to just not attach myself to dead weight. So it was just saying no, and you're still okay. And I'll love you from a distance, or maybe I'll be around for the next thing. Maybe I can say yes to the next thing, but this, no. Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, so that really is that. Even my son, I've been telling him no all the time.
Yeah.
No, you should pick up an extra job.
Yeah.
So that feels really good.
You know what's interesting, and I'm listening to you, and I'm just thinking about all of the different of what I know of your life, all of the different sectors of your life where people would ask you to, are looking for a yes, if you will, and just thinking about kind of that process of saying no, and basically saving your yeses for investment opportunities, something that's going to invest in you and vice versa. So basically saving your yeses, and because when you say yes, this is going to be beneficial for both people, and it's not a chore. It's not, let me build myself up for this kind of thing, but that yes is going to be valuable. And then what that really means for, in many ways, kind of the new you, because, when you think about it holistically, as a parent of younger children, it's like, it's difficult to say no, because you're raising a child, in that respect, the day-to-day aspects of feeding them, clothing them, all of that kind of stuff, getting them to school and all of that. So that's just that stage of parenting, but you're not in that stage anymore. So a lot of times we have to even figure out, well, who am I now as a parent? Who am I now as a person? Same evolution is happening in your business. So you got to have a baby, your business early on, and now it's reaching a certain level of maturity. And who am I now as a business owner? Who am I now as a dentist? And that kind of thing. So it's just one of those phases where we kind of have to recognize when we're at a phase point. We just kind of have to know that's what it is. Sometimes we don't really think about it that way. We're just kind of feeling different about a lot of stuff, but realistically, we're kind of at a phase shift. And the question is, okay, well, what am I phasing into now? What I understand what I'm phasing out of, but what am I now phasing into? And in that, we talk a lot about the whole mentorship aspect of being able to have that who do you listen to vibe and those models. And especially, and as we know, we have them for different, sectors and parts of our life, but to be able to have those models to say, okay, this is where they were at this stage, and it dropped, and they were in a situation where, especially, it's interesting when we read books of people that we kind of luminaries, of folks that we admire, and we come to the part of the book where there was, turmoil, or whether it be in the personal life or the business life or just internally. But we kind of know that we're getting ready to finish reading the book, and we're in our own book. We're at a certain phase of our own book of life, if you will, and so we have to try our best to, kind of know where we are in that book at this point. It's so interesting now. We're talking yesterday, Maria and I were talking with some folks, and it's like around the time when Maddie turned 10, I made a conscious decision to start talking more about what our life goals are after she graduates high school with Maria, because that whole aspect of, you've been parenting for 18, 20 years kind of thing, and then all of a sudden that person's not in the house anymore. You're looking at each other like, do I still like you? Like, are you the same guy? Or are you the same girl before that child? So I was like, I don't want to wait for that. I don't want to wait for have her look at me and say, well, you definitely don't look the same, because your belly bigger, your cheeks fluffier. Like, so no, you're not the same dude. So the question is, what do we want in this life? What do we want? How do we want to spend our time? How do we want to be fulfilled? And who do we want to, invest our time in? And what does that life look like? And just really beginning to, and individually and together, individually, what do I want to do? What do I want to accomplish and why? What kind of life do I want to live and why? And then asking her the same thing. What do you want to do and why? And is what you're doing what you want to do forever? If not, what are those things? Have you thought about it? And just beginning to dance this new world in our mind, and then going to YouTube and finding stuff to look at to see that's doing what we want to do. And let's go try that for a second just to see what it's like. Let's go sit down with that person and see what it's like, and begin to entertain the dream, begin to entertain the thoughts of what we get excited about in our brains. And that is becoming let's practice that now. And the good part about that, I can say on a personal level, is that it does help me to know what I'm enjoying now, my new self, my 45-year-old self, like, especially when I'm back home now and I'm looking around, it's like, yeah, I remember we used to do that and do this. I'm like, wow, I sound like my dad. what he used to say when he was 45, right? And so, but then I can look at, his parents are still alive and all that. So it is just, I highlight all that just to say that this phase that we're in comes with change, and the question then becomes, what are we phasing into? And are we excited about it? And that is really the journey part of it. That's the part of, if I'm phasing into something, let's go into it with excitement and some level of clarity too, right? Because, the last thing you want to be is blindsided. And we see that happen so much. People just holding on to their glory years of whenever they were doing some cool stuff. And I'm like, well, let's try our best to have a lifestyle of things that we're proud of, things that we enjoy. Let's try our best, at least, to stay in the rhythm of the things that we truly want to do and want to spend time, the people we want to spend time around, the people we want to be, who we want to invest in us, and the people we want to invest into. Let's try our best to not look back. I always call it the Al Bundy syndrome. It's like he's talking about high school football because nothing else has happened since that time. And, how can we begin to really value the daily aspect of this growth? But it's a real thing. And I'm glad that you kind of outlined it from your respect, because I was talking to somebody the other day about when you went to Afghanistan, and just that life-changing aspect of it, putting you right in the middle of the, because of your expertise. And it is a real thing, so I'm glad that you were, open and willing to share where you are. And because I can tell you, as you were talking, I was staring myself in the mirror. It's like, that's exactly how I'm feeling about this transition at the same time. So we own it. We are on it.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes when something happens, it's like a ripple effect that starts off as something small, and then, snowball effect. And then when you don't address it when it's small, it gets out of control. And so that was my problem. I thought, I could just walk it off or whatever. Stuff started snowballing. And before you know it, my whole life is just like, wait a minute. Like, somebody pray for me. Do I need an exorcism? Like, something. Like, somebody save me, please. Thing has gotten too big for me. So literally, that's what I was going through. It's like, nothing was the same. But it started off as something so little. Oh, I can't sleep. Oh, I started having all out, like the symptoms of PTSD, where you have these attacks where you just start shaking. I'm like, what is wrong with me? If somebody says something, you have this trigger, and then you're fighting to control yourself. And then it just like turns into this whole body, almost like a panic attack.
Yep.
Like, man, I don't want to jump over this counter and do anything wrong. You know? So, yeah, just working through that has been an ordeal. But it's because I didn't address it when it was little, when it was a small thing. And now I have to go back and, you know, clear away some of these webs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just clean up some things, basically. And it's happening. Don't get me wrong, it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So 90 days is like going to be way more than 90 days for me because I let this thing go on for years.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, not 90 days could be phase one. You know, so what am I going to get done in 90 days? And then when you break down, how do you break down phase one of this process? All right, well, what am I doing in 30 days? You know, what am I doing on a daily basis to at least address this first phase of the snowball, which is now an avalanche, you know? But what if it was at the beginning? What if it was just a little snowball? What would I have done, and what should I be addressing like right now? And that's kind of peeling it back, and just so like in my brain, I'm watching like this, you know, snowball that's going down the mountain, and then it becomes this big avalanche, if you will. But what if it's going backwards, and you can now back to that original kid who you know made a snowball before he threw it? Like, what should I have done at that point? And what it really does highlight is, and Paz, I know you'll remember this term, you know, it's eating the crust first, right? So it's like addressing the difficult stuff now. It's difficult. Nobody wants to say it. Nobody wants to deal with it, but let's do it. Because if we address it now, the likelihood of a snowball begins to, or I should say of an avalanche begins to diminish. You know, something we addressed, we broke up the snowball, you know, so it's not an issue. And eating the crust first, just as a reminder to say, there's something that we all see as a problem. Let's address it. Let's do it now. And because when you're thinking about the pizza, if you eat, you know, people want to get to the chewy part of it, to the cheesy, you know, all the sauce and flavor, all on that side. And the crust is just the crust. But if you go ahead and eat that part, to get past that, then you can get to all the good stuff, you know. And so that's something we have to remind ourselves when you know this is an issue. You know, it's an issue in your business, it's an issue in your personal life. Gotta address it. You know, I got a few of those in my life right now, and it's like, all right, let me just cut time out and do it. Make a phone call. Hey, here's what's up. Here's what's going on. I need to get this done. You know, whatever that pain point. Like I just going through each day with the unchecked pain point is, you know, that's in my mind. I'm like, I don't want to get to Tuesday and I still got this unchecked pain point in my head. You know, so how do we just go ahead and address it? You know, so I feel you. It's a real thing, and I appreciate you outlining that, because we all on this journey trying to figure it out and trying to make it work, especially when you really have big goals that you're trying to accomplish, you know, but that unchecked pain point is still over there. And you know, it's almost like when we're that whole foundation piece, and I like watching people who are in development, and it's interesting because I'm beginning to spend more time and bring on new clients who are in the development business and construction and all that, and the amount of focus that they play on getting that foundation right, you know, to when they're getting ready to build a property or any new development, that foundation going deep, making sure there's no cracks, land surveying, like all of that. And you know me, I'm just sitting there listening to all of this stuff and just like, got it. like you got it before you can begin to build on this thing. It has to be solid. It has to be, that foundation has to be good. And if there's a crack, we got to address it. What's our process of addressing cracks in the foundation? And I think about that a lot, especially as beginning to build new things, you know, and especially as we get to dancing with these dreams that we have in our mind. Like, okay, we're starting this new thing, but what about the foundation? You know, so it's a great reminder and something, you know, so important for us to as we're looking at spot checking everything, how do we address each point? So appreciate you, Dana, on that. That is it's a real thing, and it's a reminder for all of us to stay on top of it.
Hey, Ben, I got to jump out right quick. I just want to remind everybody, listen to your body, y'all. Dana mentioned people falling out. Like we have folks, I have definitely lost about 4 to 5 people this year that are at 52, 45 to 52. That's just like from last summer to this summer. I went to 3 funerals last summer. This summer, none so far. Friends, we don't have any.
Yeah.
But listen to your body. If you're not sleeping, if you feel something, like whatever that something is, your body is telling you something. We have an intelligence in our body that we were born with, and everything about American culture tells you to stop listening to your body. From the time that you're a young lady starting her cycle to, you know, young boys stepping up playing football, you're just supposed to keep going. You're not supposed to keep going. That keep going mentality is so slave baked in that it's about capitalism. It's about making money off of your body.
That's real.
It's about medication, about, you know, product, whatever. But if somebody else is benefiting long term, for you deny yourself what your body is telling you. And your body is going to continue working around the pain until it can't work around it anymore. And this year, this is where my 90 days physically has been about getting to the root of where these pains are coming from. And there's some of them are physical for sure, but some of the physical pains are rooted in emotional pain. And that emotional pain pushes physical, and everything just is all together and tied up, and trying to unravel that mess in this 47-year-old body. It's a lot. But just in this last week, I've gotten some relief by doing somatic breath work. And I didn't go in it for relief, but I said, oh shit, I can walk. And my back feels like I'm good. I'm Gucci. And I ain't been Gucci in my back for a minute. So there's emotions, there's stuff that's happening that has happened to us that we haven't addressed. And we can only put it off so long. And all of us are adding past the stage in which the so long is here. So we got to listen to your body. I can't say it enough. Like you just must. Making sure you're getting your right nutrients, your fuel. Your food is your fuel. I like to eat chocolate cake, but chocolate cake don't fuel me. It drains me. And so if it's dry half-seasoned chicken, that's probably a better fuel than chocolate cake. Whatever it is, you got to get there, but you got to listen to your body in the process. Because you're going to shut down. And we can't do for others if we are completely empty. And a lot of folks are out here working on empty, and it's not it. Yeah. And it's not allowing you to truly fulfill your mission that God has given you. Your purpose cannot be completed if you're depleted.
That's real, 1,000. That's so real. I was sitting there listening to you, Ty, and I was thinking about, you know, and this is more of a question. As you're doing your yoga sessions, and for folks who reach out to you and say, "Hey, I want to sign up," or "I want to do this," like, what's kind of a running theme that you hear as to why people want to join your sessions, or why they are trying, if they're trying it for the first time, and that kind of thing? Like, what has been your kind of the running theme as to why people are joining your sessions?
Well, some people think that like yoga is like, I have more friends who are like, girl, I ain't doing no yoga. Yoga ain't for me. I hear that more than, girl, let me be in your yoga session.
Okay.
It's crazy, right? But they both come down to two things. It's a fear and the idea of something that you already expect. People expect that in order to do yoga that you must be flexible. In order to do yoga, you already have to have something a certain way, and that's not true. Your body is your body, and however your body comes is however we got to work with it. And so, just trying to get people to understand that everything we do is a practice. There's things I can't do and might not be doing for the next 10 years, and that's okay. But with every practice, with everything, it's about building habits. It's about getting in tune with your body. Like, that is what yoga's number one goal is to connect your physical body to your breath. Your breath is your core, your core to your connection to the world. In our bodies, we can literally connect to time, past and present, to people, past and present, spiritually. If we can get close enough to our bodies, we can make those connections. You have complete control over regulating your body through your breath. And if we understood that innate intelligence of our body, we will be able to do so much more. And I'm talking to myself too. Let's be clear. I'm not there. It is a practice. I am getting there.
Yeah.
I will continue to be on that focus. But it really is about connecting to self. We are so disconnected from our own bodies. We put clothes on, but we don't understand how our body works. We don't know what things are connected. We don't know the names of our body parts. And our systems, like the medical system doesn't want you to. I came in talking about, I think my rotator cuff. Why do you know the name of that? Because I'm studying. I'm learning my body. I've got my anatomy book. I don't color that thing in a heartbeat, and I'm circling stuff. I'm seeing what's connected to what. And my doctor was like, well, why do you? Because this is why. This is what I do as well. And I shouldn't have to explain that to you because I don't trust you. Is what I want. I don't trust I don't trust Western medicine. So I'm here studying, trying to figure out what's going on with my body.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you're going to tell me the whole. And so we have to know our body. We can't depend upon our doctor to understand it. And we got to know, we got to stand in it. Like, no, really, this is where I am feeling it, but I don't know if this is all. What else can I do? I don't want to be taking medication 24/7 or for the rest of my life because I know this ibuprofen at some point it's going to start messing with my liver and start messing with other things in my body. And I don't want to mess with that. And just because they're going to pay for dialysis for the rest of my life, I don't want to be in nobody's dialysis center.
Yeah.
Right. And so I know that they're making decisions not for my wellness, but for what's works, what's available, and what's going to make somebody else some money. I don't want that. And so we have to be in control of our bodies. We have to know our body. And the yoga and breath work allows you to connect to your body and listen. And be still. I am someone, I know I'm busy, been that way my whole life. Honey, I was up in this house for the last 3 days. I am so happy and quiet. I'm like, I just been still. And that's new for me. And I'm comfortable in my stillness. Again, the movement is for other people. It's not for self. When you're quiet and still, you can be creative. When you're quiet and still, you can truly think through different things differently because you're not responding, you're not reactive. And so the yoga practice has definitely helped me understand the need to not be reactive, the need to be in tune and in touch to my body, and to learn what my body needs physically, and also what do I need to support myself mentally for a complete mental clarity so that I can show up and truly be who I need to be in the spaces that God is calling me to. And if we don't take that time away, we won't be able to access that connection or the power that your body is trying to give you or the information that your body is trying to give you. Because you're busy, you're full of medication, you're full of alcohol, you're full of all of this stuff. And you're not accepting for information.
All the coping, all the drugs, if you will. You're full of all of it.
All of it, because it's dopamine, it's chasing dopamine. Like all of it is in search of dopamine to not deal with the real issue, be it things you want to forget, be it, things that go my way, I don't know how to respond to it. Like all that stuff is all connected. But if we're not taking time to dissect a situation, a feeling, an emotion, a relationship, all that stuff, we're going to continuously repeat the process. even if it's not good for us, then we don't like it because we haven't taken time to process what the thing was, how it made you feel, what you can do different the next time, and you're going to just keep doing it. And that goes with weight loss. I go weight loss forever, but a lot of the weight loss stuff is because it's like, why am I self-sabotaging? Maybe I don't trust myself when I'm thin, and that would make bad choices if I'm thin. I might be out here acting a pure fool. Maybe I'm out here be half naked. I don't know if I can trust myself skinny. I don't know. So maybe I'm self-sabotaging because I don't know if the world's ready for skinny stuff. I don't know, right? And so it's like all that junk got to be unraveled.
That's real.
So you can get to your goal. All right.
That's so real. Oh man, you said something that I think is really what I wanted to talk about, and at the core, it's what I wanted to talk about, which is really the whole fact of there's so much we just don't know, and unfortunately we live on the surface, and when I say we, just kind of this American society, and we've been just trained to surface level conversation, surface level thinking, surface level understanding of things and how things work, and you figure out how far can I get with this before it becomes a problem, and I'm forced to go deeper, and I'm forced to actually get to know what's really going on, and whether it be your body, whether it be, your education system, whether it be your government, whatever the case may be. And I think from that respect, we owe it to ourselves to go deeper, to really get out of the surface lane. And it's either one, it's either one or the other. It's either one of these things of don't even associate with it and don't even allow it to be a part of your world, or go deeper, because it's so interesting as to, I think a lot about it. I know you guys, anybody who knows me or at least have even paid attention, I'm at a point in my life where I just can't not think about the plight of Black people. It's one of those things, for everybody has their thing. And for me, it's I look at the fact, it's nothing against anybody else. I was listening to, actually, it was interesting. I was listening to an Oprah Winfrey show back in the 80s. And she had like a lot of like white nationalists. She went to a town in Georgia. I can't remember which one it was, but it was like an all white little town, like north of Atlanta, and they were trying to keep it all white. And so they were like, listen, this is the plight of white people and the whole nine. And I was listening to this guy and I was like, what's interesting, if you just change that word to Black, I'm like, yeah, I completely agree with you. But then the question then became, why do I feel that way? Why do I feel that same way? And is he wrong for feeling his way, right? And I think for me and for a lot of other people who feel this way in terms from a Black perspective, it's just the whole fact of there's just been so many attempts to make sure that we aren't on an equal footing. That so many, actually I shouldn't even use the word attempts. I mean, just the level of work that has been put into making sure this race of people, just because of the color of their skin, making sure they stay a subclass, just so I can feel good about myself. Yeah, you may make more money than me, but you're still a nigger. Like, what I'm saying? Like that. And it's something just a very human aspect of that that just is. It probably I'll feel this way probably for the rest of my life, and which in that situation I'm okay with, right? Because it does give you it's kind of highlighting the clues of your story, like what makes you mad, what makes you happy, what makes you sad, whatever those things are, is part of your DNA for a reason. It may not be part of everybody else's DNA, but for you, that's what it is. And for me, that's what it is, And so in that vein, it's always work toward what it is we're trying to address and trying to accomplish. And, we all have that thing. And so whatever that thing is for us, we go deep in it. My recommendation is to whatever the thing is that we get happy, mad, sad, whatever it is, the things that trigger us emotionally for whatever reason, we should go deep in that. We shouldn't live on the surface level and not be in a position to at least articulate why we feel the way we feel about it, because it begins the process of creating the story of your life. And on top of that, it helps to keep you on message, as to what you should be doing. You can find yourself in doing something. And as you're looking around and thinking about what you're doing, you're like, you know what? I'm not sure why I'm involved in this, because nothing that's happening right now is relative to the things that make me happy, mad, glad, or sad, so if it's not one of those points, why am I involved? Why am I spending too much extra time in this? What part of my core self is being invested in this space? And if it doesn't check those boxes, that's a great indication it's time to get out. It's time to get out of this and put yourself back into the realm where you have energy, the realm where you're willing and ready to invest, the realm where you are surrounded by people who will more than likely be willing to invest in you, because you're now in that circle. You're in the network. You're in the ecosystem that matters to you, and you be there. Now, the thing that excites me about the network, from a Dreammakers Network perspective, is that we know that people are fired up and excited in different realms. So my realm I can be so excited and fired up in that realm, but I'm not trying to get everybody to be fired up and excited about that realm with me. I want you to be fired up in yours. So when I need something that's associated with an area where I'm surface level, I don't have a lot of information, I'm not deep in my understanding, I need to be able to, say, hey, jump in, I need you on this. And we have to be that. And so it's that factor of what do we go deep in? And we go deep in the areas of the things that truly is part of our core, it's part of our plight, our objectives, our purpose for living. We go deep there. And so it's not only satisfying the part of our life that matters to us, but so we can also be of value to the rest of the network. The other members of the network are being impactful in their world, and they're going to bring you in. And so I probably used the word ecosystem a few times, but I don't know another word to use, because there is a word that I want to use and I haven't used it yet, but I want to use it before we finish up today. Is self-sufficiency. And why is that important? Why is self-sufficiency something that is a thing, or should be a thing? And without going too deep, I just really want to highlight the fact that it's important for us to go deep into things that we know and understand and begin to share that with other people and build your world in that space, because the things that you know and understand, people need it. They may not know it, but they need it in some form or fashion of their life. And a lot of what there's a lot of change getting ready to happen. Is happening before our eyes right now, but there's more change that's happening in our society that we're going to need to be self-sufficient. A lot of things that we've become kind of comfortable with, the norms, there's a daily attack on our norms, on the things that we know, that our way, our flow, the type of, how we employ ourselves, how we're compensated, what type of jobs we can get, what type of contracts we can access, what type of just normal freedoms and liberties that we have just become a couple generations into, and I'm speaking particularly for Black folks, but even not just Black folks, people all across the country, if you will, things that we are comfortable with. What if that didn't exist anymore? What if a new way of life was being, instituted and we didn't know it was coming, kind of thing? The importance of self-sufficiency is becoming a much more important topic, and I want to make sure that we have that conversation as often as possible. And even it doesn't matter who you are. For you, a guy or girl goes to work every day and you work for somebody else, or you're a business owner, but your main contracts are this or that. Like, we want to go in every aspect of our ecosystem, our personal ecosystem, that we become more self-sufficient, and that we work with each other, and that we support each other, that we are that we spend with our network, we work with our network, we do it intentionally, because that way it's our own little protection, our own insurance policy, if you will, because we're supporting each other. And for those who don't have those networks, are the ones who'll be, looking around trying to figure out what to do. So I would say my call to action on this is a couple of things. One, to think more about self-sufficiency and what does that mean? How do you create, and how do you become more self-sufficient with your economics and your lifestyle, and just really creating that ecosystem. I really want to say that it's important to take a second to review what information you're taking in. What information are you reading? Are you listening to? We talk a lot about mentors, but who are they? Like, what are we really diving into? What have we been fed with? What information is helping us? It's one thing to kind of read to escape, just to have a bit of an escapism, which I highly recommend as well. But what are we taking in to edify us and to strengthen not only our knowledge base, but even our spiritual life, to strengthen those aspects, to get information to help us become much more proficient in what we do and our specialty, but also that information that's adding value to our spirit and our character. All of this stuff, I'm highlighting all these reasons because as a people, we're being tested. We're being tested as a people. And so we have to, this type of a conversation isn't being had enough. And I want to make sure, at least for our network, and I know we all go out into other networks, that at least we can begin to share that. We can have those conversations when other people don't feel comfortable having those conversations around character, knowledge, body. Like, some of the things, these topics that we hit on today, they're not being had, and not in a intentional way. And so I just want to highlight that, the fact that there's constant attacks on our civil liberties and all that we've become. We've said, yes, we're part of now. We're inclusive. There are attacks on that right now. So just want to make sure that as those attacks continue, we are working to strengthen our resolve, our knowledge, our information. I want to highlight a couple of books that I have in my library, and I've been going to here recently, and these are more historical in nature. But the good part about these books is that everybody on this call can go and get one that is specific to you and what you care about. And I don't know if you've ever looked up the, let's see, what is the actual, let's see, same thing. Yeah. So if you go to, yeah, here we go. All right. If you go to Arcadia Publishing, they have a series of images. You name it, I'm pretty sure they have it. In some of their thing called Images of America, and you can, whatever your hometown is, whatever university you attended, wherever you live right now, who are your luminaries, or whatever the case may be. I have 3 right here I want to share, and I would like for each of you sometime this weekend or sometime soon to look up your own relative story in this through Arcadia Publishing. This one that I'm sharing right now is Images of America, and it's Arcadia Publishing, Images of America, and it's on Tuskegee. I have another one here. It's Arcadia Publishing, Images of America, Black America Series, African American Entertainment in Baltimore. And I have another here, which is Images of America, African Americans in Sanford, which is my hometown. This stuff, I don't know if you've ever looked at any of these books. It is so, well, for me, I enjoy it for a couple of reasons. One, these are images, right? So you get a chance to see people of your grandparents' time and beyond, outlining and detailing the story with a little caption of who this is and where they are and what year it was, and then you begin to highlight the story. The cool part is if you can do it in multiple areas. So again, I recommend at least 3. I think I may have probably 6 or 7 different of these books from different aspects of my life. But I'm highlighting these 3 here: Tuskegee, Baltimore, and Sanford, and highlighting the African Americans. But it's not just African American. They have these just on any aspect of it. Like the Sanford one, I have one that's just on Sanford that goes beyond the African American story. Seminole County. Very cool thing to do. I'll highlight why I do it. One, because, like I tell you, I'm always trying to, and Tysana kind of mentioned this earlier about how do you connect with, the ancestors, if you will. How do you allow it from doing it from the body? And I'm always trying to access that mentorship, that guidance, that information that tells a story, something that fills a gap. We talk about how, schools and education system now, they just want to keep that information away from the kids, feed them a certain type of narrative, and then all the things that we know were true becomes a myth, and we never end up knowing our history. So when I have a 13-year-old in the house running around and, growing in this society, it is just extremely important that she understands the web of our history, the narrative that won't be told in school. So we have to educate here. My mom was like that with me, was you need to know the story, because we didn't go to integrated schools. We went to segregated schools, and they gave us this information, but you're in a different type of educational system. So we have to make that connection. It's even more real now than it was then. So yeah, go to Arcadia Publishing, and you can go to arcadiapublishing.com, go to the website, and then go to the search and just type in your city, type in your neighborhood where you grew up, type in your college, all that stuff. The information is there. I'd be actually, if the information isn't there, hit me up. I want to know, because in every point that I've tried to search and find something relative to my life, some bit of that information was available. So go to it, ArcadiaPublishing.com, and look up your story. Great read. I promise you will enjoy it. And it's great for your own personal library to just kind of tap into. I've had some of these books for many years, but it's something fresh when I open it again. Like, oh, I missed that the last time, so wanted to share that with you guys. There's a lot that I didn't talk about today, but it's after 9 o'clock. So I will save it for another time. But I do want to share that I want to make sure that as we're in this 90-day challenge, that we stay connected. And if anything that we've talked about today sparked an idea or follow-up conversation, let's lock in time. Go to dreammakersnetwork.org, schedule time. Let's lock in time on the calendar just to kind of wrap through what it is that you're thinking about. That you're saying, hey, you know what, you gave me an idea, but I need to talk it through. Or something you said, I didn't want to say it on the call, but I do want to wrap. So let's talk that. Let's just do it, because my sole objective at this point right now is strengthening and beefing up the network. My thesis around that is if we do that and we get the network tight, going back to this ecosystem point, that we will have enough to fuel everybody's individual objectives, so we can tighten up the ecosystem, which will further strengthen your ability to be self-sufficient and feeling good about protecting yourself, if you will, from all these external forces that are trying to, affect our world, affect our life, our way of life, our lifestyles, our approach. And so I don't, there's work to do, but I'm confident that we can get it done. I'm more than confident. It's just about intentionality and being about the business. So let's do it. Anybody have any questions, comments, thoughts, or things to share, upcoming events, whatever the case may be, that we need to know about before we finish up for today's call? We'll open up the call now. All right. Well, it's vacation time, so hopefully you guys are taking some time to enjoy yourselves and your family, and just carve out some time for you. You don't have to be busy all the time. Take some downtime, force it. Call Taisana so we can, when we do have that time, how do we maximize it? How do we really get into a place of, stillness, as she highlighted, which I'm definitely going to call it, because I need, I got some time on my calendar coming up real soon. And I want to maximize that time when I'm on vacation. So, all right, folks, have a great weekend. Go to the website, dreammakersnetwork.org. It's lock-in time. Let's make it happen. Lots of cool things happening right now, so we're looking forward to it. We're trying to grow our membership as well. So please go to the website and let's make it happen. All right, folks, have a great weekend, and we'll see you in August. See you soon.
Goodbye.